Welcome back to Vivayeglatino Blanca, and we have a special guest today.
Hola, Giuseppe, gracias por tenernos en tu espacio. Un saludo a tu audiencia y bueno, como pueden ver a mi lado está Kunle. He is a psychologist and essential part of MAKAMI College because behind him, he has a great team to help our students to be successful, to achieve their education. If they have struggles, either in personal or academic portions, Kunle and his team are here to help them. And well, no more words. Kunle, welcome again.
Hey, thank you. It's great to be back with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Kunle, what is your favorite movie and why?
My favorite movie is called Shawshank Redemption. It has Morgan Freeman. I believe it's something Roberts, but I can't remember his name. But yeah, it's one of my favorite movies because it also has one of my favorite lines of all time, which the main character says, "Get busy living or get busy dying." And I think it's a very simple philosophy, but really it's either you're doing things to enrich yourself and to move forward in life, or you're doing things that are making you not move forward and go backwards. So I like that simple philosophy. Yeah.
Kunle, can you have a short explanation? What is the psychologist educative?
Short. Psychology doesn't do anything short, but really, it's a person that helps people find contentment in terms of how they feel emotionally and how they feel mentally in terms of their position in the world, how they feel about their position in the world. So somebody who can help somebody assist people with those two things really is the fundamental purpose. Yeah.
Okay. How important is your participation with the student at the college?
Well, like Blanca says, our team really is there to assist students to graduate and finish the programming, and there can be a bunch of different barriers that get in the way of people doing that, and it's really spans the spectrum of being something that's very academically related in terms of understanding content, or it could be things outside academics in their personal life, like stress, and maybe even managing their own emotions and managing how kind of stable they feel as a person. So yeah, so I think psychology looks at both areas, and so I think it's important for the success of the students.
And how you can support of the teacher, because it's different, but at the same time they work together, no? And that's very important because the perspective and the needs is different.
Yeah,
goals.
For sure. So I think we assist students, teachers, with managing issues that aren't so related to the information that they're teaching, and so we can help them understand that the challenge that they're having may not be content related, but may be something that is outside the class, but it's affecting their ability to understand what you're teaching them. So we can help them understand how people are functioning so that they can adapt how they interact with them by understanding how the people are functioning. So we kind of educate the educators in terms of how they interact with the people that are in the classrooms. So
excellent. And how you can help a student overcome their learning problems?
Well, that's a big question, because really learning issues are so diverse or so different for every single person. So typically what we do is we do either assessment or screen, and a part of that assessment or screen will ask them what their academic history is in terms of school, what challenges and what strengths they have in respect to academics. And then with that information, we're able to make a specific plan for them. So really, it's very specific for each individual person.
Excellent. Blanca?
Yes, so Kunle, I have a question now that you were talking about it. All the team that is behind you, they are educators.
Yeah.
They are people that has maybe 2 or 3 languages that they speak.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of our students here, I have to remind your audience, we have lots of students that English is their second language.
Yeah.
So once the student gets here and they are starting the program, either massage therapy, healthcare aid, which is here in the college, because we have 2 other programs that are completely online. How do you notice, or what's the process that they have to do in order to get the support that they may need at certain point of their education?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So, because we have such a diverse population and people from obviously multiple countries, as well as different academic histories, the first thing is for the students to go through their classes, try to observe how they're functioning, and if they're seeing that there's some gaps or things that they're not fully understanding, it's to reach out to us. And they can really reach out to us in multiple ways. They can come to the front desk here and talk to receptionists. They can email us. We also have forms that they can apply online that take less than 3 minutes. So there's a lot of different ways for them to reach out to us. But usually it's the students, they observe first maybe a week or 2, and they see how they feel they're functioning. And if they feel that there's gaps, they should just reach out to us and then do these different methods, and then we can assist them.
So, Kunle, tell us, please, for the audience that they are not very familiar with the MAKAMI atmosphere, what the strategic academic learning team, the team that you are leading, does for the students.
Okay, so the SALT team, or the Strategic Academic Learning Team, has multiple people that are part of it, and I'm just one of them, and my specialty is in psychology. And then we have a gentleman who is an ESL specialist that helps assist students with ESL and academic ESL. And then we have other people who have other specialties who either have been part of developing the curriculums for the different programming, so they really understand the content and the course really well, so then they can help us assist students with the learning the material and things like that. And then the strategists also just help with basic learning principles. Might be as simple as making a study plan, scheduling your day to make sure you maximize your time, and learning how to read exams and get the most important information out of the exam. So really, our team has multiple people that really help with different aspects. So yeah, we're pretty fortunate to have them.
Excellent. Cool. I have a question. Blanca talked about to the multidisciplinary, and also in different interviews, we've talked with people with different multiculturalism, professor and students. In your personal opinion, what is the key for this successful? Because at the same time, together they speak, not the same language because it's in English, I know, but they have motivation, energy, inspiration, and they work together. What is the key in your opinion in your area?
Honestly, I think the key, and the key for I think in many things in life is being open-minded, and what I mean by that is we all come from a specific background with specific ideas of how things should be, and I think if we have an open mind and more flexible, we can come together and be able to support each other from our own perspectives. I think when you have more closed mind and expect something to be a certain way, you can be easily disappointed, and it's hard to adapt to the situation if you're like that. So from a teacher's perspective and from a student's perspective, having an open mind allows both people to come together at a central point. So I think having an open mind is probably, I think, the most important piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blanca?
Kunle, I have another question for you. You're gonna be bombarded by questions from us.
Go for it.
Speaking about being an adult, we learn in different ways. And I think that many people that is watching us, they may be afraid, what will be happen if I go to school, I am 45 years old or 50 years old, but I really want to change my career, but I am afraid to learn something that I have never learned. And also, I am afraid to fail. What will be your kind of advice to these people that is just like, yes, I want to go ahead, but at the same time, all my fears are stopping me to take that step?
Yeah, no, fear is a powerful force for sure. And unfortunately, fear rips opportunity from us as a human being and can also stymie our growth. Interesting enough, in my walls, what I have here is this actually, it's a piece of art, and it says, dream, your life will change when you put more energy into your dreams than in your fears. So it's interesting you asked me that question, and I found that very powerful, because I think, unfortunately, as a default, what I mean by as a default, as human beings, our fears take priority, and that's really unfortunate, because when people listen to their fears, it stops their growth as a person. Now, more specifically, education and what you talked about, there's a lot of misbelief about age and education and how that impacts your ability to learn. And more and more research has indicated that your mental capacities are working just as good as they were working in their, and they work just as good until you probably are about in your 70s. Until you reach your 70s, you can see a significant decline in your mental capacity that may impact your ability to learn. But really, prior to that, your mind is pretty close to what it was when you're younger. Now, the difference is that when you're younger, you process information a little bit faster, but as you're older, you actually have more information stored. So you have more learning that you have stored when you're older. But when you're younger, you might go through information a little bit faster. But most things that you learn don't require you to be able to go through it that fast. And our processing speed that we have until we're 70s is more than adequate. So there's a lot of misbeliefs about that.
Yeah, and it's important that you mentioned that, because most of us, or maybe you included, we come from outside of Canada. It's a big challenge. It's a new language to learn.
Absolutely.
The food. We are so attached to the food.
Exactly.
Mexican, Colombian,
there you go.
Argentinian, Chinese, etc. But now it's also now stores that specialize in all those.
Yes.
It's like an adaptation.
Yeah.
But it's also a cultural shock when you come with a suitcase full of dreams, start all over again, and it's just like, okay, I am here, now what?
Exactly. Well, so going back to the research on the acculturation stress, is they said that there's a U-shaped curve that occurs. Now, what they mean by that is that so at the start of the U, you're higher than the arch of the U. So people come with, like you said, dreams, and they're thinking, "This is fantastic! I'm going to Canada. Everything's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna be finding money on trees." And quickly, that reality goes down, and they drop and drop and drop, and now they're at the bottom of the U. Now, as I mentioned earlier, what seems to help them get out of the U is the ability to integrate. Now, integration is an interesting word. So integrate means like basically become part of the culture, but bring who you are as well. That's what integration means. Versus like assimilate, where you lose yourself and become part of the culture, but you forget who you are. And then there's isolation, where you don't even try to become part of the culture and you only maintain what you are. Now, the integration is the one that's most successful in terms of pulling you out of this curve and moving you up to the top. So what they see is that this bottom can be 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
Depending on what strategies you take and what activity you take to get out of it. So things that help you get out of it, education. Things that help you get out of it, learning the language.
Yes.
Things that help you get out of it is learning the culture and being open-minded about the culture.
Right. It's embracing the new culture that you are in, but also
don't forget about who you are as a person.
Exactly. The roots, right?
Yeah. So these things we know help get people out. And the more willing you're able to do these, the faster you move up the curve.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. You're talking about the money tree. It's interesting that quote. Some people come to Canada and they say that experience, and also they say, okay, I need to pay my bills, my rent, and that stuff. And sometimes it's difficult. What is your message for them? Because they say, okay, I want, but at the end of the day, of the week, of the month, say, Or maybe it's a person, is a student, and life is changed a lot. In 2 years, their life is changed completely. Situation is happening. What is your
well, interesting. I think first of all, going back to the money tree, we have to get better at educating people coming to Canada. The money tree doesn't exist. Like, we have to, before they even come, they have to understand what the reality of the situation is. Because you fall harder when you're high and your belief is here. But if you have a belief that's more reasonable, the fall is not so painful. So first of all, we have to educate people and tell them that the money tree doesn't exist. So, so they have a better realistic idea of what they should expect. And so by having that, we said, okay, if you're going to come to Canada, the things you have to think about is, where are you going to live? How are you going to feed yourself? What do you have for supports? Like, so pre-planning is going to be critical. And then maybe having patience to understanding that the reality is that you're probably going to function here, not here when you begin. And that's okay. And you're doing fine if you're just doing the basics. And it's not failure. It's when people have the perception that people are living like this when they first come to Canada, that it's painful down here. So when we can educate each other to understand that this is the reality, and if you're doing this, you're doing fine, and be patient and start working on developing, getting out. Because this is another thing, what happens, Giuseppe, is I think you get comfortable just surviving.
Right, that's true.
And that becomes what you think is all you have in life, which is not true. So be okay with being here, but have an exit plan and a plan to continue to strive to get out. And we talked about fear and all these other things that keep you down there, but they also take away hope. And this is why it can be so difficult to be down there.
How does the educational psychologist contribute to the educational quality?
So really, I think where we contribute the most is trying to understand how people learn the most efficiently. So by leveraging the strategists and doing the informal assessments, we understand what people's previous educational experiences and what their way that they process information is. And then we try to give them newer strategies to make them work way more efficiently. Many people that have not been, two things, don't have a lot of educational experience or not being successful in education, many of them don't have the proper tools to do it in an efficient and an enjoyable way. So they work super hard, which is great, but they may be working not very efficiently. So they're not getting the best out of what they do. But by trying to teach them, and you'd be shocked, even many Canadians, and probably the Canadians who've not had positive experience in education, they learn poorly. They have poor learning strategies. and so they're not successful. Most students that are successful in school is either for some reason they've learned these tricks and strategies on their own by just chance and by experimentation, or they've been lucky enough to get these tools from other people. And the people who have not will struggle in education. So making it more efficient, fun, and rewarding is what we try to do as in psychology in terms of education. Yeah.
In the world, everything is in movement, no? The education is moving to online system.
Right.
What is the experience to the students, teacher, and your department or your area to help the both parts? How difficult? How much change in that way?
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's so there's pros and cons with change for everything. That's just life, right? The pros is that now, like, location does no longer have to be a limitation to learning. You can be almost anywhere and have access to education, which is amazing.
Yes.
Where before, depending on where you were, you would have access or no access. And so that's probably one of the most exciting things is that geography has very little to do with your access to education.
Very true.
Now, I guess the biggest con, I think, and what we're trying to help people navigate is that not everybody has maybe the technological savvy to navigate learning online. We take for granted that people should know how to sign online and access everything online. But the truth is that the newest generation, probably that's correct. But for people who are probably, older than 40, it's a little bit of an experiment. And many of them are not comfortable with it. And so trying to navigate that is something that's super important to us. And we're finding that for many of our students, just teaching them the technical side is the issue. And that's what the research says too. Like, for people who are technically savvy, the online shift has been a huge benefit to them. For people who do not have the technical savvy, it's actually been quite challenging.
Okay. And how about the professors, the teachers?
And I think for the professors, again, the pros that you can be anywhere and teach. I could go to Bermuda and teach. In fact, I know I teach a class in psychology, and I have to plan my trips in the past about have to be physically here. Now I don't. I just say, okay, I just need to make sure I have a Wi-Fi connection, and I can take a trip anywhere, and I don't care. I'll still teach online. So that's one of the pros.
Or working from home too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. But one of the cons is that now you have to find a way to engage with people. Like, now you're online, that there's more distractions that people can have in their homes, and now you're a little bubble, so you don't have your physical body to move. You can't get closer to people. You can't express yourself as much in your body. You can't do as many interactive things online. So you have to find a way to increase the interaction. Good news is that there's, as we expand, there's more kind of interactive tools are being put in some of these applications that can. So you have to learn a new way to interact with students. That's the downside. But some of the tools, once you start to learn how to use them, they're pretty cool. Like, so it just means you have to get yourself educated. That's all. Yeah.
Perfect. Blanca?
Kunle, thank you very much.
Hey, no problem.
For having us again here.
No problem.
Because I'm in his office. Sorry. His office is a little bit bigger than mine. So I appreciate you are taking your busy time, because I know that you give sessions to students. Sorry.
Yeah.
You have a mental wellness with the students. So I appreciate you took
no problem.
time and a break. A little bit.
Yeah, a little break.
Fun with us.
Absolutely.
Educate us about what psychologist does. And well, I will see you soon for another mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Kule. And the people, they see this program, please click. If you have any question, all the information is in the bottom. And contact Blanca. Blanca actually speaks Spanish, speak English, un poquito de italiano y otros idiomas. Blanca, thank you so much and see you. Nos vemos en el próximo programa.
Gracias, Giuseppe. Nos vemos pronto.